Okay, students, can you hear me clearly? Please raise your hand to tell me. Yeah. 60. It is 400. It's always in the building and it's valid. Hello, Assalamu alaikum students. If you can hear me, please raise your hand so that we can start. Okay, that's good that most of you can hear me. There was some technical problem because of which it took quite a long time, and now I'll continue with my lecture as soon as possible. So let me share my lecture slides. Okay, so if you can see the slides, please, any one of you can send me a message. Okay, so in the class we covered up to slide number 32 of our lecture. So I will continue from slide 33 onwards. So we were talking about project management, and previously I told you about. So this was I'm just giving an overview of the previous contents we studied in our face-to-face class. So we came to know about who system analyst is, then what are the skills required by system analyst, then what are the specialization in a project team, like business analyst, system analyst, infrastructure analyst, change management analyst, and then project manager. So we talked about all these things, and then I explained each one of these specialization. And then I told you about systems development life cycle, in which I told you that there are 4 phases: planning, analysis, design, and implementation. And then I told you about the further steps in each of these phases. After that, I told you that project identification and initiation is important because someone should identify the business need to build a system, that why we are doing this project. And then I told you that there is a project sponsor who is someone who can recognize the strong business need for the system. I gave you some detail. I told you something about, like, the project sponsor should have an idea of the business value to be gained from the system in both tangible and intangible ways. So then I told you that the system request should be generated, which is a document that identifies the business reasons that why we are building this system. So after this business document, I told you that in this business document we perform a feasibility analysis. Is it feasible for the organization to continue with this project or take up this project, or it is not beneficial? So for this, the feasibility analysis is done, which guides the organization in determining whether to proceed with the project or not. So feasibility analysis tells whether it is feasible for the organization to go for this project or it is not feasible. If it is feasible, then the organization goes for it. And feasibility means it is feasible in terms of existing resources, feasible in terms of money, and feasible in terms of output as well. So if it is not feasible, then the organization may decide to decline this project or not to go for this project. The feasibility analysis also identifies the important risk associated with the project that must be addressed if the project is approved. So when you are going to start a project, you should accept that there are some positive risk and negative risk associated with this project. So, and you have to handle both types of risk. So if you are going for a project, then you have to identify the most important risks and you have to address them properly. As the system requires, each organization has its own process and a format for feasibility analysis, so you can use any format. But most of the techniques assess three areas: whether it is technically feasible, whether it is economically feasible, or whether it is feasible as per the organizational practices. So organizational feasibility is also checked. The results of these techniques are combined into a feasibility report, you can say feasibility study deliverable or feasibility report, that is given to the approval committee at the end of project initiation. So what when you say technical feasibility, it means the extent to which the system can be successfully designed, developed and installed by the IT group. So whether they have technology available to design that system and whether that technology can be deployed and whether that technology can be installed. So you check the technical feasibility. Essentially, a technical risk analysis strives to answer the question, can we build it? So the question it is asked, team members ask themselves that can they build it? Do they have technology? Do they have expertise to build the system? So this, when they are doing this, then they are actually checking the technical feasibility of the project. So when I'm saying that there are risks associated with the project, so a risk can endanger the successful completion of project. So the risks should be addressed. One of the risks can be users and analysts. They should be familiar with the applications. If they are not familiar with the application, then it is going to cause them problems. Then they should be familiar with the technology. The technology we are going to use everyone should be familiar with that technology. Then the size of project should not be very big, it should not be very small. Both of these are risk, so these should be handled. Compatibility of the new system with the technology that already exists is also very important. If you are designing a system which is not compatible with the existing technology, then it is going to cause you some problems. Then you need to check the economic feasibility as well. When we say economic feasibility, then we are talking about cost-benefit analysis. That is there any financial risk associated with the project? We answer the question of should we build a system? Like, is it economically feasible? Will it be beneficial for us to build a system? Will it be profitable for us? If it is not profitable, then we should not go for it. So you are checking economic feasibility here. Then when you are checking economic feasibility, how do you do it? There are 6 steps of cost-benefit analysis which you perform. In step 1, you identify costs and benefits. You identify what kinds of costs are required in this project and what the benefit systems will have. And then you make a list of all these things on a spreadsheet. Then when you have identified all the costs and all the benefits, then you can break down into 4 categories: the development cost, operational cost, tangible benefits, and intangible benefits. So when you say development cost, these are the tangible expenses that are incurred during the creation of system. For example, these are the expenses which you can see in advance. For example, you have to pay salaries to all the people involved in your project. Then you have to purchase your hardware and software. You have to hire, if you are hiring some consultant, you have to pay his or her consultation fee. If you are providing training to your staff, then the cost of training is also included, which is also included in development cost. And then you also require an office space and infrastructure and equipment, furniture, room, electricity, and everything. So these things are your included in development costs. So you can forecast these type of costs. Then operational costs are those tangible costs. When I say tangible, these can be measured, these can be seen. These are the costs that are required to operate the systems, and these are ongoing costs. For example, salaries for operation staff, software licensing fee, equipment upgrades, communication charges. So these are not particular for this project, but throughout the life cycle of your project, you have to bear this cost. And if you are going to install the application on user ends and you are going to provide after delivery support as well, then you have to include those operational costs over here as well. Then tangible benefits. When you are measuring the benefits, some are tangible benefits, some are intangible benefits. Tangible benefits includes the revenue that the system enables the organization to collect, such as increased sales. So these are the revenues or profits you are going to have. The system may enable the organization to avoid certain costs, which may lead to another type of tangible benefits, such as cost savings. Then if we go for intangible benefits, these are more difficult to incorporate into economic feasibility analysis because they are based on intuition rather than hard numbers. Because you can say if we go for this project, then after 10 years our organization will be known for this particular project, or we'll be having some high words for our achievements. So when you are saying this, these are some of the benefits which will achieve in the long run which cannot be measured. So the unmeasurable benefits are intangible benefits. Similarly, the experience you are gaining, your team is gaining with this project, is also an intangible benefit. Now, now the steps 2 of step 1 was identifying cost and benefits. So you identified all types of cost and benefits. Then you assign values to cost and benefits. Once the type of cost and benefits have been identified, you will need to assign specific dollar value to them. The most effective strategy for estimating cost and benefit is to rely on people who have best understanding of them. Sometimes we get opinions of different experts, or sometimes we use opinion of multiple experts, and sometimes we take opinion of one expert. So there are multiple ways to get the estimates of cost. The cost estimation is a very important thing. If the cost estimations are correct, then this project is likely to be successful. So you are assigning the values, how much value this cost is. So if predicting a specific value for a cost or benefit proves difficult, it may be useful to estimate a range of values for the cost or benefit and then assign a probability estimate to each value. So in this way, you are assigning values to cost and benefits. Sometimes it is acceptable to list intangible benefits, such as improved customer service, without assigning a dollar value. So if you say improved customer service, this is intangible, so this can also be listed. Now if you have assigned values, then the next step is to determine cash flow. Now when we say cash flow, it is a formal cost benefit analysis technique, a formal cost benefit analysis technique which measures their benefits over a selected number or years to show cash flow. For example, you can say that our cash flow is year after year it is moving in this direction, and after 5 years my cash flows are these ones. So it is a formal cost benefit analysis. It contains a cost and benefits over a selected number of years to show cash flow over time. Like you have started a project, so after 3 years the cash flows were this one, and after 5 years it was this one. With this cash flow method, the years are listed across the top of spreadsheet to represent the period of analysis, and numeric values are entered in the appropriate cells with spreadsheet body for all years. So you did use some techniques to perform this cash flow. Amounts are augmented by some rate of growth to adjust for inflation or business improvements. So because inflation occurs with a passage of time, the value of money may increase or decrease. So you also take care of these factors, because in 5 years your money is not going to stay static. The value of, for example, a real, or value of a rupee, or value of a dollar may increase or decrease comparatively. Finally, totals are added to determine what the overall benefits will be, and the higher the overall total, the more feasible the solution becomes in terms of economic feasibility. So this is one of the analysis techniques. Then you assess project's economic value. So what is the economic value of this project? What is the total worth of this project economically? So then you can do it in multiple ways. One of the ways is to determine return on investment, which is also called ROI. You can determine break-even point, and you can determine net present value. These three techniques are used. So if we talk about return on investment, it is a calculation that measures the average rate of return on the money invested in the project. For example, if you have spent suppose 1,000 Riyal initially on something, and after some time you get 1,500 Riyals for that. So initially you spent 1,000, and after some time you are receiving it as 1,500. So it means you are having benefit of 500 Riyals. So that 500 Riyal is actually your ROI amount. The high ROI suggests that the project benefits far outweigh the project cost. So in your initial cost, when it is deducted, the remaining amount is called the ROI, which is simple calculation that divides the project net benefits minus total cost by the total cost. So this is a big simplest formula for this. Although ROI is the most commonly used in practice, it suffers from several important limitations and should not be used as the only measure of project wealth. You can use ROI, but you have to use other measures as well. What other measures are? One of the measures is break-even point. It is sometimes also referred to as payback method. When your project is going to pay back. It is defined as the number of years it takes to a firm to recover its original investments in the project from net cash flows. So the original investment when it was done, then after how many years the initial investment is recovered, and how many profit you are taking with the passage of time. The break-even point is easy to calculate and understand, and thus give an indication of the project liquidity or speed at which the project will generate cash returns. So when you have started a project, and in the initial 2 or 3 years the project is not returning you or not paying you back, so if it starts paying you back after 4 years, then it means after 4 years you are going to have only profit and your initial expenditures are incurred. The break-even point is ignore cash flows that occur after the break-even point has been reached, and therefore is biased against long-term projects. So if you say that my break-even point of my project is after 3 years, then you cannot measure the progress of project or the benefits of or value of the project after 3 years. So this is also again having some certain disadvantages. Then you check that whether your project is feasible for your organization as well. Organizational feasibility is how well the system ultimately will be accepted by its users and incorporated into the ongoing operations. There are many organizational factors that can have effect on your projects, so you have to determine that whether it is feasible for your organization as well. So I'm going to close it now because time is up. We didn't get time for our question answer session. So if you have some question, please email me because we have to start my next lecture as well. So if you find any question from these contents or from the contents I taught you in the lecture, please email me today or post on the discussion board. I'll try to answer your questions over there. So now if anybody of you has any question, please raise your hand so I can ask you and give you mic. No question? Okay, thanks students. Thank you very much for your time. And I'm sorry it caused me quite a longer time to catch you up because of some technical problems on the Blackboard, and we'll have more discussion about it. Okay, thank you very much, and Allah Hafiz.